I never meant to send that message. It was supposed to go to Aisha, the girl who had slowly, quietly taken over my thoughts. We'd been talking late at night for weeks, the kind of conversations that start innocent and somehow drift into something warmer, something dangerous. That night, tired and careless, I typed a message that crossed a line. Not explicit, not vulgar, but intimate enough to reveal feelings I hadn't said out loud yet. A confession wrapped in humor, longing hidden between emojis and half-jokes. My thumb slipped. I hit send. And instead of Aisha's name at the top of the screen, I saw Mr. Jonathan Reed, my boss. For a moment, the world stopped. My chest tightened, my hands went cold, and my phone felt heavier than it ever had. I stared at the screen, hoping reality would glitch and undo what I'd done. But there it was. Delivered. Seen. Jonathan Reed was not just my boss, he was the CEO. Calm, respected, impossible to read. A man who ran meetings like chess games and people like clockwork. And I had just sent him a message that said, "Sometimes I imagine what it would feel like if we didn't have to pretend anymore." I wanted the ground to swallow me whole. I didn't sleep that night. Every possible outcome played in my head: termination, humiliation, HR meetings, my name whispered in corridors. By morning, I had already rehearsed my resignation speech a dozen times. I walked into the office like a man heading toward his own execution. He didn't call me in. The day passed in a blur. Meetings, emails, the soft hum of the office. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Still nothing. No reply. No reaction. That somehow made it worse. Just before closing time, my phone vibrated again. Jonathan Reed, can you come to my office for a minute? My legs felt weak as I stood up. The walk to his office felt longer than usual. Each step echoed with my thoughts. I knocked. His voice was calm, as always. Come in. He was standing by the window, city lights beginning to glow behind him. He turned slowly, phone in his hand. My message still open on the screen. I believe, he said evenly, this message wasn't meant for me. I swallowed hard. Sir, I'm so sorry. It was a mistake. I completely understand if. He raised a hand, stopping me. His expression wasn't angry. It was thoughtful. Mistakes, he said, are rarely random. They usually come from somewhere honest. Silence filled the room. I won't report this, he continued. But I need to understand something. Are you unhappy here? The question caught me off guard. This wasn't the interrogation I'd prepared for. No, sir. I mean, yes, sometimes. But that message, it wasn't about work. A faint smile touched his lips, surprising me. I know. He walked past me, opened the door, and said, go home. We'll talk another day. That night, I told myself it was over. That I'd been given mercy, nothing more. But the next morning, everything changed. Jonathan started involving me in meetings I'd never been part of before. Asking my opinion. Listening, really listening. Our conversations grew longer, deeper. Less about spreadsheets, more about ideas. About life. About choices. And then, one evening, as we were the last two left in the office, he said something that shifted the air between us. Do you know why I didn't delete your message? He asked. I shook my head. Because, he said quietly, it reminded me of someone I used to be. Before I could respond, his phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen, and for just a second, I saw something unfamiliar in his eyes: conflict. That same night, my phone buzzed too. Aisha, I think we should stop talking. I heard something today, about you and your boss. My heart sank. Rumors had already started. And I had no idea that this one wrong message was about to change 3 lives forever. Rumors spread faster than truth ever could. By the next morning, the office felt different. Conversations stopped when I walked past. Smiles were forced, eyes curious. I hadn't done anything, yet somehow, I was already guilty. Aisha didn't reply to my last message. Her silence was louder than any accusation. Jonathan called me into his office again before noon. "Sit," he said calmly. I obeyed, my heart racing. "I want to be very clear," he continued. "Nothing inappropriate has happened between us. But perception matters more than reality in places like this." I nodded. "I understand, sir. If you want me transferred, or if I should resign." "No," he interrupted firmly. "Running away feeds rumors. Standing still kills them." He leaned back, studying me. "Tell me the truth. Who was the message for?" "Aisha," I replied. "She works in marketing." We were talking. Something flickered across his face. Surprise. Recognition. "She's my niece," he said. The room spun. "Your niece?" "Yes. My sister's daughter. She joined last year." Everything suddenly made sense. Her confidence, her guarded nature, the invisible wall she never let me cross fully. And now, the rumors. "She thinks," Jonathan continued slowly, "that you used her to get close to me. Or worse, that you sent that message intentionally." "That's not true," I said quickly. "I swear. I didn't even know." "I believe you," he said. "But she doesn't." That afternoon, I saw Aisha standing near the elevator. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Like someone she regretted trusting. Before I could speak, she walked away. That night, Jonathan called me. Not on the office line. On my personal phone. "I shouldn't be doing this," he said, "but this situation is already personal." We met at a quiet cafe far from the office. No suits. No titles. Just two men burdened by consequences. "My sister raised Aisha alone," he said. "She's protective of her heart. If she thinks you played with her feelings." "I didn't," I said. "I care about her." Jonathan studied me for a long moment. "Then prove it. Not with words. With patience." Days turned into weeks. I kept my distance. No messages. No explanations. Just silence and respect. At work, I focused harder than ever. Late nights. Perfect results. Slowly, the whispers faded. One evening, as I was leaving, Aisha stopped me. "Why didn't you try to explain?" she asked quietly. "Because you deserved space," I replied. And because anything I said would have sounded like an excuse. Her eyes softened, just a little. "I was hurt," she admitted. "And angry. And confused." "So was I said. "But I never lied to you." She looked away, then back at me. "My uncle thinks highly of you." "I know." Silence stretched between us, heavy but no longer hostile. "Coffee?" she finally asked. It wasn't forgiveness. But it was a beginning. Over the next few weeks, something unexpected happened. Jonathan began to trust me, not just as an employee, but as someone capable of protecting what mattered to him. He shared stories of his failed marriage, the loneliness that came with power, the cost of always being in control. "You think being the boss means freedom," he once said. "But it's the loneliest chair in the room." And somewhere along the way, I realized the truth. That message I sent by mistake hadn't just exposed my feelings. It had cracked open a world of hidden emotions, unresolved pasts, and fragile relationships. But just when things seemed to settle, one final twist awaited us all. One evening, Jonathan called me into his office again. This time, he didn't ask me to sit. "I've been offered a position overseas," he said. "And I want you to take my place here." I stared at him, shocked. "But there's a condition," he added quietly. "Aisha doesn't know yet." And suddenly, I understood. The hardest part wasn't the promotion. It was the choice that came with it. The office felt smaller after Jonathan's words, as if the walls had leaned in to hear my answer. "Take your time," he said, his voice steady but his eyes tired. "Power changes people. I need to know it won't change you." That night, I couldn't sleep. Becoming CEO was more than a promotion, it was a shift in gravity. Authority, money, respect. And Aisha. If I accepted, every rumor would return, sharper than before. If I refused, I'd be walking away from a future most people only dreamed of. I met Aisha the next evening at the same cafe where everything had first begun to untangle. My uncle's leaving, I told her honestly. He wants me to take his position. She froze. You? Yes. She searched my face. Did you know before us? No, I said quickly. And if this hurts you, I won't take it. Her eyes filled with emotion, not anger, not jealousy, but fear. I don't want to be the reason you limit yourself, she whispered. But I also don't want to live inside a rumor. We sat in silence, the weight of truth pressing down on us. A week later, Jonathan announced his departure. The board gathered. The office buzzed. When my name was revealed as his successor, the room fell quiet, then erupted into applause. Some genuine, some forced. Jonathan shook my hand. Remember, he said softly, lead with character. Everything else follows. The first months were brutal. Scrutiny from every angle. People testing me, waiting for me to fail. And Aisha, she resigned. Not in anger. In dignity. I need my own path, she said. If we're going to have a future, it can't be under your shadow. It hurt, but I respected her more for it. Time passed. The company grew. I led differently than Jonathan, less distance, more trust. Slowly, the culture shifted. And so did public perception. One evening, nearly a year later, I received a message. From Aisha. Coffee. We met again, older, steadier. She had built something of her own. I had learned the cost of leadership. This time, she said with a small smile, send the message to the right person. I laughed, relief, love, closure all tangled together. I will, I said. But some mistakes, they save us. She reached across the table and took my hand. And I realized then that one wrong message hadn't ruined my life. It had rewritten it, not as a scandal, but as a story of growth, trust, and choosing the right thing. Even when no one is watching.